Hello and welcome back to this channel. I hope you're having a really great day. It is Thursday, November 27th, and we already have some unsealing. The first thing to come out is Jamey Heath's timeline. That is what we are going to be talking about today. There are some people named in there like SKELNAR, Taylor Swift, and HUGH Jackman with other things. That's the document we're going to go over today. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Grab that emotional support lip gloss. You are going to need it. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. I already spoke a little bit earlier about the crazy PR that we have been gaslit all year long coming from Taylor Swift's camp. And let's just go over a few of those headlines right now before we get into the document, because what's going to be coming out in the next week, 2 weeks, is massive crisis management, crazy PR, and it's going to be damage control for all of these players, including, yes, everyone's favorite, Taylor Swift. Okay, so Swifties, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you've been following this case all year long, you already know. You probably already had an inclination that, yes, she had a little bit more involvement than she was claiming to have all year long. And it's all going to be, I don't know what's going to happen with their crisis management team and PR, but the headlines are going to be coming out and they are going to be doing massive damage control as more and more and more things become unsealed. Let's just quickly revisit a few statements that we were given this year from Taylor Swift and from Blake Lively. Okay, the first one from Taylor Swift that went out and got regurgitated all over mainstream media was this. A spokesperson for the Cruel Summer singer told everyone on Friday that Taylor Swift never set foot on the set of this movie. She was not involved in any casting or creative decisions. She did not score the film. She never saw an edit or made any notes of the film. She did not even see It Ends With Us until weeks after its public release, and was traveling around the globe during 2023 and 2024, headlining the biggest tour in history. The connection Taylor had to this film was permitting the use of one song, My Tears Ricochet. Given that her involvement was licensing a song for the film, which 19 other artists also did, this document subpoena is designed to use Taylor Swift's name to draw public interest by creating tabloid clickbait instead of focusing on the facts of the case. Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Saritz, and the team continue to turn a case of sexual harassment and retaliation into entertainment for tabloids, going as far as suggesting that they sell tickets to a concert venue, Madison Square Garden, to witness Miss Lively's deposition, to subpoenaing Taylor Swift, a woman who has given a voice to millions around the world over. This is a very serious legal matter, not a circus. The defendants continue to publicly intimidate, bully, shame, and attack women's rights and reputations, including in the past month seeking to strike down for all a powerful California victims' rights law, calling it unconstitutional. The disturbing actions by a billionaire, men who made their careers as female allies, and their team continue to show their true colors. But yet, Taylor Swift is also a billionaire, so funny how that works. Interesting that they're just bullying and harassing and doing all of this stuff by subpoenaing one person who had involvement in Ryan Reynolds' berating of Justin Baldoni. She is a witness. What I call harassment is Blake Lively then, after making this statement, went ahead and subpoenaed over 107 women content creators. Which one is more harassing and bullying? And then when the subpoena against Taylor Swift was withdrawn, we got these statements. We supported the efforts of Taylor Swift's team to quash these inappropriate subpoenas directed to her counsel, and we will continue to stand up for any third party who is unjustly harassed or threatened in the process. Very interesting, because you subpoenaed how many people? You're still fighting. And then how you didn't stand up, no way, for even case. You actually submitted a letter in support of Jones, sending a subpoena months after the deadline for non-parties. So you're not standing up for anyone who is unjustly harassed or threatened in this process. The Baldoni and Wayfair team have tried to put Taylor Swift, a woman who has been an inspiration for tens of millions across the globe, at the center of this case since day one, Lively's rep claimed. Exploiting Taylor Swift's celebrity was the original plan in Melissa Nathan's scenario planning document, and it continues to this day. Faced with having to justify themselves in federal court, they folded. At some point, they will run out of distractions from the actual claims of sexual harassment and retaliation they are facing. But very interesting, as they folded every time a content creator submitted a motion to quash the subpoena, they withdrew all of those subpoenas. And then they also withdrew their 2 emotional claims of damage. Yeah, so who's folding? And let's see some proof of actual sexual harassment and retaliation here, because enough's enough. You know what I'm saying? Still haven't seen nothing, Blake Lively. Still haven't seen nothing. But we're about to see a whole bunch. The gaslighting, the projection, the crisis management, and the PR is going to be in full swing, because from now until December 3rd, dozens and dozens of documents that the Jones Party, Jed Wallace, as well as Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds all tried to keep under seal are coming unsealed. Right now, we're going to look at Jamey Heath's timeline that they created, and it is very detailed, and they did this prior to litigation. So it was in real time of, how it was all going down. Let's take a look at it. Jamey Heath's timeline. It starts with an email from Jennifer Abel. This was written on July 31st, 2024. It opens for me. Thanks for sending, Mitz. We'll review with fresh eyes tomorrow. And it's an email sent from Mitz that says, "Hi, Melissa. My name is Mitz. I work closely with Jamey at Wayfair Studios. I'm sure we will chat more later this week. Looking forward to meeting you. We've started putting a timeline of events over the last 2 years. This is a WIP and needs some cleaning up, but sharing with you so you can start to get up to speed. Please let me know if you have any questions. At Jennifer Abel, please let me know the best way to share this with you. For some reason, Google Sheets doesn't like your email. Talk soon." From Mitt at Wayfair. This is a spreadsheet, so I'm going to try to make myself small and try to give you all the information that I can get, but it is quite hard on this program, but we're going to get through it. So it starts right from the beginning. December 14th, 2022. Justin Baldoni flies out to New York to meet Blake Lively in person. Meeting goes well, spent about 3 hours talking about script. She loved it. Said her nanny first shared with her how popular the book was and how exciting this opportunity was. So they talked about the script for 3 hours, and she said that she loved the script, but then she took it and made a lot of changed almost everything to it, including a lot. Justin Baldoni couldn't even be topless in one of the scenes. It's a man, you know what I mean? So that makes me think she loved the script, and then she gave it to Ryan Reynolds to read, and then he changed it and wanted it to be a comedy, big blockbuster romance movie, but it was supposed to be a rated R, dramatic, violent movie, right? So it was supposed to be a rated R movie until Ryan Reynolds got his hands on the script, and of course he turns everything into comedy. Exactly what he did with the CEO of Astronomer, exactly what he did with Deadpool Wolverine. Everything that he touches, right? He tries to spin it. And that's very interesting that she says that she loved the script. In pre-production, March 6th, 2023, Justin flew to Jersey to begin prepping the film. March 20th, 2023, Justin Baldoni first meets with Lizzie Talbot, the intimacy coordinator. So this was already in pre-production, guys. There's an intimacy coordinator here. Let me move the mouse. That would drive me crazy if the mouse was there and I was watching the video. Sorry about that. On March 29th, 2023, JB, Justin Baldoni, reached out to Jennifer, the wellness coach, to request a probiotic recommendation for Blake Lively as she was breastfeeding and taking antibiotics. That's very nice of him. Sometime between April 21st of 2023 and April 24th of 2023, Justin Baldoni reaches out to Blake Lively regarding planning for sex scenes. Need to find actual text to Blake Lively, but Justin Baldoni and Jamey Heath spoke about this via text, so more than likely text was sent to Blake Lively on the same day. And we've all seen the text now where he does want her to meet with the intimacy coordinator, and she says, no, I'll just meet them on set. And then Justin Baldoni has to reach out to Ange Giannotti and be like, hey, she doesn't want to meet the intimacy coordinator. And they're like, okay, it's going to be harder on set and longer to shoot, but it is what it is. In pre-production, sometime between April 21st, 2023 and April 24th, 2023, Justin had a phone call with Blake's trainer and asked about her weight. In pre-production, somewhere around April 5th, 2023, just the very next day from talking to her snitch trainer, Saladino, okay? The next day, Justin had the conversation with Blake and Ryan regarding her weight. Justin went over to Ryan and Blake's penthouse, and Ryan unloaded on Justin how horrible it was Justin would ask about a woman's weight, claimed that Justin Baldoni was fat-shaming Blake. Justin was completely embarrassed and apologized and even shared some tears. Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were also present in the apartment at that time. Hugh Jackman and Taylor Swift were there, okay? This is in pre-production. Pre-production, okay? April 26th, 2023, Eric Daman, the costume designer, meets with Blake to go through wardrobe. Eric shares that the wardrobe fittings are moving slowly and he is worried about getting everything done in time. That's what he texted to Jamey. There is a rehearsal at the production office on April 26th, 2023. Justin and Blake worked on the script and had rehearsal. Justin and Jamey met with Blake at the production office. Also on the same day, Justin makes comments about praying for Blake Lively's father. Blake Lively later included this as one of the infractions in her all-hands meeting before Phase 2. On May 1st, 2023, Alex expresses concerns about Blake changing scenes. Alex says, "She's fixing the script. She is now directing the movie. This is bad." The HR training meeting happened on May 5th, and that's the respect in the workplace meeting. There's nothing weird about that. There's nothing strange about that. That happens all the time. It's normal, and it's really good that they had that in place for everyone, especially if you're going to be working for a very long time on something. On May 7th, 2023, Blake Lively informed production that her baby is ill and that she would not be able to travel to Las Vegas. Interesting note is that Blake was seen at Taylor Swift's concert on May 13th, 2023. Very interesting. I've gone over that many times that she would call off on set and then go to a Taylor Swift concert. Oh my gosh, so crazy. Alex Sachs says to Jamey in a text, "The other part of me is wondering if this is all a ruse, getting to her ultimately pulling out of the movie later this week when the strike escalates, depicting the friction already." Very interesting, but it's kind of crazy that and this was the first day of set. The first week of shooting, she did not show up to the first week of shooting because she said her baby was sick, but then was at a Taylor Swift concert. I would have fired her right then. I mean, I would have fired her when Justin Baldoni was berated over her weight. She would have been gone. But you can't shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? I bet they wished that they would have fired her in pre-production. On May 8th, 2023, the Vegas shoot is canceled because Blake's child is sick. This is delayed shot for 1 week, but also cost production a lot of money, obviously. The rehearsal at the production office on May 11th, 2023 was with Jenny and Justin recorded the rehearsal with Jenny. Jenny called out that she was not comfortable with this. You're an actor and you're not comfortable with recorded rehearsal? Shush up. Pre-production on May 12th, 2023. Actually, that is interesting that she wasn't comfortable recording the rehearsal. And then I think because of that, she kept a grudge against them. But it's rehearsal. You shoot rehearsals all the time. It's kind of strange. But it's good that Justin recorded rehearsals because look at all the stuff that's come out. I mean, imagine if he didn't. I wish he would have recorded every single thing with Blake Lively. And I wonder if this is where they're saying that he secretly recorded them. Well, obviously it wasn't a secret if Jenny said that she wasn't comfortable. But you're an actor. You're supposed to be on camera. Why aren't you comfortable with a rehearsal being shot? That's weird. I digress. I could talk about that for a very long time. In pre-production on May 12th, 2023, Justin and Blake potentially met to write the pink draft, Blake's House. It was a table read. As drafts get rewritten and reworked out, there's different colors for every rewrite. So this was the pink version. Sometimes you get on set too and they just hand you different color pages, blue, yellow, pink. So now we get to the shoot day number 1. City Hall, Ryle's car, memorial service scene, May 15th, 2023. Paparazzi photos had been published showing unflattering photos of Blake Lively. This sent Sony producers and Justin into a frenzy because they had long felt that the wardrobe choices Blake Lively was making were not in the best interest of the film. There was a lot of chatter about how to get Blake Lively to compromise on wardrobe. And then they have links to the photos from the set. But we've all seen that. I mean, it was brutal. She was being torn apart as soon as casting came out. So Shoot day number 2. This is in Lily's car, Andrew's resting place. This is a meeting that they had with Blake Lively in her trailer regarding wardrobe concerns. Justin Baldoni started tearing up. Jamey Heath looked in her direction while in her trailer. Because let's just remember, she said she was having makeup removed from her collarbone, which is here. And Jamey Heath came in and looked her in the eye. Right? That's from both people. And Jamey Heath was like, I don't even remember if I did that. Like, the whole interaction lasted about a minute. In the morning, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively discussed production wardrobe, and Blake Lively made some remark about how Taylor Swift said, the fans don't know what they want until you give it to them. In defense of her wardrobe choices, oh my gosh. Oh, Taylor. No, the fans know what we want because your last album was brutal. In my opinion. Okay, but I'm not really like a Swiftie. I listened to her way back when she was still country and coming out into pop. But her last few albums, we're not on the same kind of mental trajectory, I feel like. But I digress. Anyway, I still listen to, some of her music. I'm not a hater, guys. Okay, don't come for me. But that comment from Taylor Swift of the fans don't know what they want until you give it to them, in defense of her wardrobe choices, which were being trashed online. Further, she paid Justin Baldoni a compliment on this day, and Justin Baldoni, in hearing it, teared up. This would later be weaponized against him, as Blake Lively would insist that Justin Baldoni was in her trailer sobbing about how she looked old. Later that day, Blake Lively had requested to meet with Jamey, Justin, Alex, and Angie after they wrapped. Jamey knocked on the trailer, and she let him in. In the room was her hair and makeup team and her assistant or nanny. Blake later took issue with this. Jamey and Blake spoke about when the meeting would take place. Blake would not adjust her turnaround time and insisted instead that we meet tonight. After Blake finished taking her makeup off, they had the meeting in Blake's makeup trailer. The lookbook combo. The lookbook. Yeah, the lookbook, because you're not doing so good, Blake. Shoot day number 3, Lily Blooms. That was on May 17th. Today we shot at our Lily Blooms flower shop location. We completed all of the scheduled scenes, although we did not shoot scene A27, which was If Time Permits. On May 18th, it was in Lily Bloom Atlas confessing his love in front of the car. Alyssa and Lily fix up Lily Blooms. This is the day that Justin would have said sexy to Jenny. She is wearing black leather pants while doing the cleaning of Lily Bloom's montage. The fact that sexy, even saying sexy, is being used as some crazy sexual harassment claim with these people is insane, okay? Saying someone looks sexy is not sexual harassment. This is so nutty. Shoot day number 5 is the hospital day, May 19th. Justin texts Blake, just wanted to check on you this morning after last night. Feeling okay? Anything I can have ready for you on set. On May 22nd, the crew badges became mandatory and then had to include a photo. That's so weird. Why would they have to? Oh, Blake. Blake requested it. Blake requested that everyone in the crew wear named badges with photos. Said this was standard protocol on all sets. This was, in fact, not standard practice that anyone else on set was familiar with, but Wayfair, of course, accommodated this request. That is nuts. It is not. That is okay. Okay, Blake. Wow. Shoot day number 7. It's in the Boston bar karaoke scene. Revelation about the brother, karaoke, and montage of the slow dance. That was on May 23rd. Justin made the sexy comment, and then Jamey showed the birth video. Well, this was a bad day to be on set with Blake Lively, because this was a bad day. The sexy comment happened on set between takes while Justin was trying to give direction. I mean, he was pretty much begging her, trying to tell her each and every way to take her freaking jacket off because everyone's supposed to be in onesies. She had a big problem listening to the director. At the end of the day at 9 p.m., Justin sends a text to Blake. I'm not going to tell you that you were amazing because you would tease me for being so sentimental, but you were amazing today. Blake in turn replied to that text message saying, thank you, I do appreciate it. I'm just a ball buster and it means a lot to me. I care a great deal and always want to deliver. You were terrific. I'm proud of everything we did today, but really every day. Interesting text message to send and then try to use that day as sexual harassment. Very interesting. Then the next day, when Lily and Alyssa work at Lily Bloom, so Blake Lively and Jenny Slate, on this day, this is when Blake and Jenny call Angie Giannotti and inform them that Justin and Jamey, that they were called to complain about the sexy comments and the birthing video. Then on the 26th, Blake Lively shuts down the set because she got COVID. On the 31st, Justin apologizes again to Blake and Jenny via text message through Alex Sachs that he is aware of their concerns regarding the sexy comment. On shoot day number 10, this is at Atlas's house. This is on June 1st. The production resumed shooting. This is after Blake Lively came back with COVID. Blake took Alex, Justin, and Jamey into her trailer to discuss the complaints she had already talked to them about, including the sexy comment, Jamey showing the birth scene, and told Justin that he should not cry anymore. What? You're telling a full-grown man that he's not allowed to cry in front of you? He can't cry and no one's allowed to hug? Oh my gosh. Also told Jamey that he looked at her in the trailer. Says that she was also offended that Jamey asked Miss Lively's sister for a hug and then minimized HR concerns. Wait a second, you were mad that he asked your sister for a hug? Shouldn't your sister have a problem with it? I mean, who cares about cries and hugs? This is crazy. Why are you mad that he's doing something to another woman and it's just a hug? If your sister had a problem with hugging, she could have just said, no, like I'm not a hugger or anything. I think Blake Lively was more mad that people were even paying attention to her sister and not 100% to her. She also mentioned something about Alex Sachs that I can't recall. June 3rd, Blake Lively invites Justin Baldoni into her trailer. So wait a second, 2 days before you had all of these complaints and then you still invite him into your trailer. Sure. On the 2nd, Justin and Blake potentially met to make script changes at her apartment. Very interesting. Interesting that you still, the next day, after raising all these complaints, I guess, that you had this man at your apartment to write. Okay. On the 3rd, Jamey calls Julie Bloom to let her know that we are letting her go. He goes on to say that she is pissed. Alex, Jamey, and Justin had already spoken to the replacement, AD, and Alex Finch about coming on board. So yeah, they had to get rid of the first AD because Blake Lively had a problem with her, and there is a text message from that. And it's right here in the timeline of relevant events. After facing pressure from Sony and one of the film's producers who believed Lively was no longer responding favorably to the first assistant director, Baldoni and Heath made the difficult decision to dismiss the first AD, despite feeling she was being unfairly scapegoated. In their text exchanges, both expressed discomfort with the decision. This move created turmoil on set as the first AD played a pivotal role in production, making her replacement a significant challenge. Nonetheless, they ultimately conceded to Lively and Sony's request to replace her. Then there is a text change between Justin and Jamey where he said, nope, just checking on you. I really don't want bleep to get fired. I know, me either. And yet we're here. We're there, man. Let's talk. Heath informed the first AD that she would be replaced. Meanwhile, Lively prepared to film an emotionally intense scene in which her character, alone in a bathroom, reflects on the abuse she endured from her fictional husband. A close-up protocol was implemented that day. That was funny the way they said that. Alone in a bathroom reflects on the abuse she endured from her fictional husband. A close-up protocol was implemented that day, restricting visitors without prior approval to ensure privacy and focus. A close set to just have an emotional scene is wild already. Lively, who had rewritten the scene herself, was deeply attuned to its intimate and emotional nature, who played a significant role in directing the action. Notably, Baldoni's character was not involved in this scene. This is crazy. And a first AD is everything on set, especially if the director is also acting, because then the first AD acts as the director when they're in set, but they're in charge of almost everything. They have to make sure everything's getting done, the timing, the scheduling of everyone, breaks, everything. Having a good first AD can make or break your set. So the fact that she already had the first AD fired, nuts. That day as well, that was when the bathroom scene was supposed to take place. This would be the first nudity scene of production. Lindsay Gottlieb, Blake's lawyer, took issue with this, as at the time a nudity writer was not signed But Blake had the nudity rider since December of 2022, and now it's June 3rd, 2023. So whose fault of it that no nudity rider was signed? And it's funny that she can get her lawyers involved in this, but never had her lawyers at the January 4th meeting, only had Ryan Reynolds. June 5th, there's a strike shutdown day. Picketers shut down set. We tried to add the ferry scene, which would have put us far away from the picketers, but Blake wouldn't cross the picket line. First of all, there is no crossing the picket line just because they're picketing. They weren't on strike yet. It also says in the SAG rules that this is not like crossing the picket line. You are still able to film, and actually the picketers allowed them to continue shooting until the 30th, but I digress. And it's funny that she didn't want to cross the picket line in order to act, even though it was allowed. However, had her husband writing and rewriting the script during the writer's strike. So which is it, girl? Which is it? But anyway, 2 days later, they resumed shooting at the Root due to bad air quality. Justin and Alex had their thing on set. Alex insisted that Justin had already shot the scene and did not need to do another take. But Justin sternly responded that I will decide. Alex ended up leaving set shortly thereafter. Why is anybody telling the director what to do? It is the director who decides how many times they shoot, if they got the shot. It seems like everyone was trying to railroad Justin and do things that were outside of their pay grade. On the 13th, the first AD, Alex Finch, and team are diligently working on a plan to complete the shooting before the SAG actor strike. On June 13th and 14th, the strike shut down. Justin and Jamey emailed the crew saying that they were wrapped, the strike would not allow us to complete the production, and that they were bleeding out money. On the next day, Blake flies to London and refuses to return to work. So her reps at the time told them that plainly they would have to sue her in order to return to work, but she would not be happy about it. Again, they had until the 30th to keep working. She flew to London to go be with her husband while he shot Deadpool and Wolverine. The fact that she even said, you're going to have to sue me in order to get me back to that set, I would have fired her. Like, I would have fired her so many times. Anyway, the production resumes on the 16th, and now they have to redo everything on the schedule and only shoot with the young actors there, the young cast of Atlas and Lily. On August 8th, Justin was very pleased with that, how it was going so far, and he shared it with Blake, one of his favorite scenes. He also told her happy birthday, and this speaks to the status of their relationship between Justin and Blake after phase 1. On October 14th, Justin sent his latest approved Sony script to the department heads to use for the schedule and budget. On the 29th of October, the executive producers as well as the unit production management team, they traveled to New Jersey. Justin and Jamey and John Logan follow after to New Jersey in November. On the 9th, Lindsay sent confidential productions letters to Wayfarer on behalf of Blake Lively. Phase 2 is then paused, okay, because they were supposed to go back on November 15th, but now the shooting is being pushed all the way to January because of Blake, and she is not willing to work. On the 17th, Jamey and Justin travel back to LA. On the 21st, they hire Todd Black. On the 22nd of November, the crew is informed that they're pushing to phase 2 into January and to keep prepping and pushing into mid-November. On the 28th of November, Eileen and Lindsay agree via email to the 17-point protection list, but it is not signed until January 18th. The prep of the film resumes in December, and that goes from the 11th to the 22nd in order to be ready to shoot right away in January when Blake decides she wants to go to set. On December 13th, Blake starts working on script revisions. It is widely understood by those in production that Blake Lively was working on script revisions, which delayed prep and expanded on budget yet again. On the 28th of December, Blake reached out to Justin to set a meeting prior to return of production. There is no mention about the nature of this meeting and that what would be covered, and we have that text message from Blake Lively that was sent on December 28th. It reads from Blake to Justin, "Hey, I hope you and your friends had a nice holiday. Would love to set the time for our meeting before we start production. We'll be back in town January 4th. Does 3 p.m. work? We'll host in Tribeca. Happy to have just you. Not sure if Jamey will be on set, but he's welcome. We can also have the whole team, blank and blank if you prefer. Please let me know. B." You wanted Justin there alone? You're literally telling him just come by himself? knowing full well that you and your husband were going to berate this man for 6 hours? You wanted him to go alone? Oh my gosh. On January 2nd, now we're into 2024, the LA crew traveled to New Jersey. On the 4th, the meeting at Blake Lively's house with Blake, Ryan, Justin, Jamey, Angie, Alex, and Todd, where Blake and Ryan expressed all of their feelings. On January 5th, they start shooting for phase 2. 2 days later, Blake sent script revisions the day before shooting. Blake sent Justin and production team script revisions day before shooting with cuts and changes that she deemed fit. This is highly irregular behavior by an actor. This also makes it near impossible for production to be prepared when script is being changed less than 24 hours before shooting. When I tell you that this is highly irregular, like the way they're putting it is very nice and kind, this is complete BS. This is nuts, okay? On the 18th of January, protection letter was signed by Blake Lively as well as her nudity writer. Finally, she had it since 2022, so it's nice that she's signing it in 2024. On January 26th, it's the last day of shooting in New Jersey. On the 29th, it's the director scout where he goes and tries to find a whole bunch of new locations, things like that. On February 5th, Blake sends Justin and producers more script revisions. This is 2 days prior to shooting. She is stepping in as the director and not looking for input from Justin. Are you kidding me? OMG. On February 7th and February 8th is when they shoot the LA rooftop scene that her husband wrote during the writer's strike, okay? Then we go here. The production wraps on February 9th. Justin enters the edit bay where he's allowed 10 weeks to edit the film. Wayfair is informed by Sony that Blake wants time in the edit room to work with Justin. Otherwise, she wouldn't stand behind the movie, even though she's contractually obligated to promote the film. Wayfair and Justin allow Blake in to join them. But Blake does not show up for the first day in the editing room. So after all of that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, she doesn't show up. But we have a text message here from Blake about how she just wanted to be a passenger in the edit room. This is a text from Blake Lively. Hey, thank you for the note. I appreciate it. I'd love to be in the passenger seat with you as soon as possible. I don't need you to formally present anything. I understand you've just seen it for the first assembly and have a mountain ahead of you. I'll be invaluable to you in recall alone as you put together what you're looking for. I've also been rewatching all the dailies, tons of nuanced gems. The sooner we put our heads together, the better. Very excited to dive back into the work. Let me know. B. Very excited to dive back into the work. Very excited to dive back into the work that you pretty much said was an absolute hellscape. That you said that you were repeatedly being sexually harassed, that you were trapped, all of this stuff, all of these violations, everything. But you are very excited to dive back in. Make that math make sense. Then finally, Blake Lively does join Justin in the edit. Blake was in the editor room for only 1 day with Justin, and that was with Ona and Rob. She did not show up for any other days thereafter. On March 8th, Justin had his friends and family screening with an overall score of 88%. And he shared that score with Blake Lively directly after the screening. Blake requests to work on the film without Justin straight after. Wayfair agreed to give her 4 days to work through her ideas. Blake worked with editors Una and Rob during this period. Between April 22nd and May 1st, Blake was granted time with the editor on her own. No Justin. This is nuts. Guys, the editing room is a director's medium. You shoot the film, but you have no idea how it's going to turn out until you're sitting with the editor and you get to mix match everything and remove stuff and add stuff. And oh my gosh, it's the most fun time for the director. That is the director's job. That's why a movie turns out so good, is because of the editors and the directors in the editing room. You can take a film and edit it as a comedy or a drama or horror. You could really do anything you want in the editing room. It's kind of crazy how you can have 5 directors go in with the same footage and have pretty much 5 kind of like different toned movies. I mean, it's nuts that the actor gets to be in there without the director. I cannot stress that enough. Then Blake Lively goes and requests more time for the edit without Justin. She wants to extend the time. Yeah. And then she also, yet again, threatens that she will not promote the movie otherwise. There is a Denver test screening with an overall score of 76%, but it scored 76%, but yet, look at that. One person from Maximum Extortion, Maximum Effort was there. Why is a person from Blake Lively's Maximum Effort team there? Very interesting. On May 2nd, the trailer is released. Blake threatens to hold up the trailer because she needs more time in the editing room. She would not approve the trailer of the film, and they also wanted to use Taylor Swift's song, but Blake Lively threatened to call Taylor and not allow it if she was not granted more time in the edit room. Wayfair granted Blake this yet again, and then she brings on a new editor, Shane Reed. Interesting. That same day, Alex shares concerns with Jamey that Blake will want a directing credit. This speaks to motive for Justin and Wayfair feeling that they need to protect Justin from all unknowable claims that Blake might have, because how is she now asking for a director credit? On the 6th, the trailer is finally launched at an influencer event by Sony, and then there is a dinner with COLLEEN, HOOVER, Taryn, Justin, and Jamey. Justin, that day, on May 6th, divulges to COLLEEN all of the behind-the-scenes drama that went down and tells her about the sexy comment. Both COLLEEN and her friend Taryn are empathetic to the situation. COLLEEN then calls Brandon SKELNAR and divulges details of the dinner that she had with Justin and Jamey. What a freaking snitch face. Oh, COLLEEN, we got you now, girl. Then Wayfair heard from Blake and Ryan that this dinner made her uncomfortable. I bet it did. On May 13th, Justin does another screening, somewhere different now, and scores an overall 86%. But on the 24th, Blake Lively had her own friends and family screening, and Todd Black was there, COLLEEN, Bradley Cooper, Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy, and Gigi Hadid. Interesting, all of the dragons from that one dragon meeting. But didn't find out that COLLEEN would be there until after Todd Black told them. This was a surprise, as COLLEEN had no relationship with Blake up until this point. On May 28th, Jamey texted COLLEEN 4 days after finding this out, and COLLEEN responded to Jamey's text and said that she doesn't want to be in the middle and that they should find a way to work together. Blake Lively told Josh Greenston that she would not do any press with Justin. Funny how she was texting him right before getting into the edit room. Oh, we should just put our heads together and I'm so excited. And then once she got her own editor and got a hold of all the footage, now she doesn't want to work with Justin. On the 30th, Blake Lively has her own test screening yet again. The score is 83%. Josh G was there, Angie Giannotti, Justin, and Jamey attended the screening. They were informed by Josh G that COLLEEN is working with Blake Lively. He also informed them that Blake informed that COLLEEN won't promote the movie in either unless they use Blake's cut, which she was involved with in giving notes and feedback. Oh, so that's what you were promised, COLLEEN. That's how it happened. You went into the editing room with Blake, so y'all just became the director and filmmaker, pushing the guys out, right? Pushing the actual people who did the work and made the movie. Okay, COLLEEN, I see you. Now we're piecing some things together here. On the 31st, Jamey shares with Alex that despite Justin's cut testing higher, Blake won't back down and wants her cut to be used. Alex asked for the link to view Blake Lively's cut of the film, but Jamey told her that everything needs to be approved by Blake, illustrating just how much power she had. She had all the power. So this whole, I'm just a victim and an employee and they harass me. Nah, girl, you had all of the power, and there's evidence. On June 3rd, Ona and Rob, the original editors, were let go and replaced by Blake Lively's editor, Shane Reed. Ona cried and was angry about this decision. Yeah, obviously. This is brutal. On June 6th, 3 days later, Blake Lively had her own testing score, which scored 81%. But this cut went back to Justin's original cut, mostly. They say it's about 80% what Justin would have done. On that same day, Blake Lively brings on new composer Rob and Duncan, and Brian Tyler, the original composer, is fired. So now it's AD's fired, composer's fired, editor's fired. I mean, it's nuts. On the 13th, the book bonanza, the infamous book bonanza. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, Brandon Sklenar, Isabel Ferrer, Alex Sachs attend book bonanza. Funny how Alex Sachs is involved in all of this too, right? Sony was not aware that Brandon and Isabella would attend. This was something that Blake Lively personally paid for, their travel and hotel. After conversation Alex Sachs had with Brandon Sklenar, they informed Todd Black that she would no longer be speaking with Wayfair. Jamey Heath reached out and she did not respond to any text or call. Per Todd's conversation with Alex, Todd understood that none of the cast present would be doing any press with Justin, Brandon Sklenar, Colleen, or Isabella. Josh G speaks to Blake Lively about book bonanza. Josh Greenstein speaks to Blake, and Blake states that she thinks Justin should continue to do press and she will take a picture with him at the premiere, but she did not want to do any press with him. She also told Josh that the younger cast does not know anything. Only her inner circle was in the loop about the drama. Then Blake goes ahead and officially fires the composer and the editors. It's official now, and brings on her own composer, Rob and Duncan and Shane, to edit, all of which are friends of her husband, yes, Ryan Reynolds. On June 20th, Blake was granted the producer credit by Wayfair. Blake reached out and requested that she be a named producer on the film. Wayfair said, whatever, okay. Blake reached out to Josh Greenstein again to demand now for the PGA. So Jamey had a conversation and was like, no, we're not going to be doing that. We are not writing the letter. And then Blake said, okay, well, if you don't write the letter, any goodwill that I have left for Justin is now gone. Any goodwill you have left, girl, what is you doing? So 5 days later, on the 25th, Jamey reached out to Blake to request a phone call to share feelings surrounding the PGA letter and the request that she's demanding, but Blake refused to get on the call. 2 days later, on the 27th, Justin and Jamey send the PGA letter on behalf of Blake Lively, on behalf of Blake, but then also sent an internal email letting them know that they only did this because of the amount of extortion coming from Blake Lively. On July 7th, this is very interesting. So Wayfair was looking to make a book, a coffee table book. They were working with people to make like a little book of just like the behind the scenes and the making of the movie. And on the 7th of July, Lindsay, Blake Lively's attorney, sent a cease and desist letter to Wayfair regarding the coffee table making of It Ends With You book. Blake's team saw pre-sale flyers of the book and said that Blake Lively's name was on the cover. Additionally, her body double was used on one of the collage images on the cover. Wayfair responded to Lindsay on the same day to let her know that they would remove her name and images from the books. But then guess who gets involved? Colleen Hoover. She reached out to them as well in inquiring about the book and was concerned that she did not realize that none of the cast was included in the book. She didn't feel comfortable with this. They go back and have emails and stuff, and at the end of the day, because Colleen and Blake both contested it, even though they were going to take the stunt double, Blake's body double, it was just her back, okay, that eventually they pulled the book. Justin reached out to Stefan Sonnenfeld to request to do a mock coloring session, and guess what? He's not even allowed to color the movie because, as per Blake Lively, he didn't do any work on it. Also, during this time period, Mr. Ryan Reynolds calls Patrick Whitesall. That's Justin's old agent, I guess, or someone at WME, and he reaches out to Patrick to tell their side of the story. Ryan Reynolds speaks with Danny Greenberg, calls Justin Baldoni a deranged predator, and says that he wants to put this fiasco behind them and doesn't want anything to do with Justin after August 9th. He also mentions that no one from the cast, including Colleen Hoover, will want him at the premiere, and asks why he is even going. Because he made the freaking movie, Ryan. Then Josh G goes and calls Jamey and let him know that Blake is threatening not to attend the premiere if Justin goes. But Jamey says that they will be attending the freaking premiere, okay? On July 30th, Blake's team tells Sony that Justin needs to have junket on a different day. So usually what happens, you do a whole day of media, everyone's in the same hotel, She wants him at a completely different hotel or not to do junket at all. They come to an agreement that, don't worry, you can have the Four Seasons. He'll do junket at a different day. Okay, diva. On August 3rd, Wayfair officially onboards Tag PR firm and Street Relations. Yeah, thank gosh. On August 6th, Blake refuses to walk the red carpet with Justin. This is 3 days before the premiere, she decides, okay? 3 days before the premiere. Wayfarer reluctantly agrees to walk the carpet during separate times and have separate screenings for Wayfarer and Justin, and Blake and the rest of the cast in the main theater, with Blake and Colleen Hoover giving a speech mentioning Wayfarer in the speech. BS, okay? And then Sony attends Blake's theater. Blake also refused to allow Wayfarer or Justin to attend the after party, which was paid for from Wayfarer and Sony 50-50. Wayfarer compromised and organized their own after party within 24-hour notice, and the cast and crew were confused, obviously. There's some more information on this book and it's so crazy because Colleen Hoover not liking the fact that Wayfarer is making it behind the scenes and the making of the book, but yet she did like nail polish. She did her own coloring book. Blake Lively was able to have drinks at her premiere, her alcoholic beverages, while you wait, let's not forget. And it's kind of crazy that they sent a cease and desist because all it had was Blake Lively's stunt double head on the cover as part of the book. And it mentioned now a motion picture starring Blake Lively, okay? She had previously stated that she did not want to be involved. They agreed and let the publisher know. The publisher acknowledged that this was a mistake. Wayfarer provided Blake Lively's lawyers with the interior pages of the book to show that there was no photos of Blake nor mentions of her in the book. But yet 2 days later, Colleen Hoover reaches out to them. Unbelievable. Now, there is a list of roles here for people, which is kind of crazy. So you do have Todd Black coming in as a producer. He was only brought in for phase 2. And actually, after the January 4th meeting, it is well known that he said that in his 30 plus years of being a producer, he has never seen anything like this before. And he actually decided not to be a part of it. And Sony had to pay him 3 times his amount rate in order to come back because he said it was so messy with Blake and Ryan. Okay. Then we also have here a Kate Vorhoff, and she's had terrible working experiences with Blake. You have the Tag Social team that came on, and also Alex Finch became the first AD after Julie Bloom was fired. There's also some zingers here, like Blake's last movie, Rhythm Section, was reported to have also had difficulties on set, similar to It Ends With Us. There was also speculation that Blake took over the movie there. And her reputation's real bad. I mean, when the movie bombed, she blamed Reed Morana, the director. Blake has had a number of speculated feuds as well with cast on her past projects, including Anna Kendrick and Leighton Meester, among many, many, many others. And in this same thing, you do have the overview. This is the first email sent from the tag group from Melissa Nathan, talking about how she's going to work closely with Jones Works. So Stephanie motherfucking Jones, you got this. Okay, how they were going to work closely with Jones Works, Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and its applicable executives to design and implement a crisis communication strategy to protect and enhance the reputations of Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and their executives while navigating through anticipated and unforeseen challenges leading up to the It Ends With Us premiere and its aftermath. As part of our efforts to protect the company's position, TAG PR will provide ongoing strategic counsel and rapid interference to mitigate references of controversy, correct inaccurate narratives, and push out factual, positive messaging to create a level of control and balance in covering surrounding the premiere and in the months afterwards. Our plan will be tailored to reach key audiences, including selected media, industry decision makers, partners, investors, and other creatives to ensure the longevity and prosperity of Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, its applicable executives, and future projects. Our approach will include the following elements. And literally all it is just supporting Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios and developing scenario planning documents outlining a series of potential outcomes with a suggested course of action. But everything is literally just to monitor and be able to course correct anything coming out in the headlines to be positive about Justin Baldoni. And that will only be $15,000 a month. $15,000 a month to make you look good? Pay me $15,000 a month and ain't nobody gonna talk no smack about you, okay? I will get the job done for $15,000 a month. And that is the timeline that Jamey Heath was getting together even before litigation, because they knew. They kept very detailed notes and dates of everything that happened, because what a mess. What a disaster. And imagine if they hadn't. Can you imagine the position that they would be in? But it's all caused because of Blake and Ryan. And what she did in post-production, I mean, in pre-production and during production, yeah, a mess. But I cannot stress this enough. Like I could keep saying it. I could yell it from the rooftops. The actor, what she did in post-production is why nobody is going to support or stand with her, because you don't extort, threaten, manipulate, and fight your way into an editing room and take it over from the director. Ain't no way any actor on earth would be allowed that much power. That is disgusting. It's disgusting behavior. But knowing that Ryan Reynolds has done that with so many projects, so many franchises now, Blake thought that she could get away with it. And maybe she almost would have, if she would have just, gone away and let the bad PR do its thing and come out with another simple favor and not say nothing about nothing. But she couldn't do that. She needed someone to blame for a 2-week, horrible, bad PR cycle. Well, you know who you can blame? Yourself and your husband, okay? There's more stuff coming. There's depositions unsealed. I mean, there's a whole whack-a-mole of stuff. So I'm going to go look over the depositions that have been unsealed, and I will be back to report them to you. But this just shows a clear timeline of Blake Lively's total destruction. This had nothing to do with sexual harassment. This has everything to do with Blake Lively taking control and asserting her power over the film and extorting them for the franchise. It's plain and simple. Colleen Hoover was a part of it, and so was Brandon Sklenar, and Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman. Okay, it's plain as day. It's absolutely nasty, these people. But now it's starting to piece together is that Colleen was fine with Justin and Jamey. They had a screening, they did a dinner with Sony, everything was fine. And then when Justin told them what happened, she was like, dang, had empathy for them. And then what? She has one day with Blake and everything changes. And I think it's because Blake let her know, well, if you come in the edit room with me and we make this movie together, imagine the next movie we can do. Imagine your next book. Imagine what we can do with this franchise. I'll build this franchise for you. You just need to have my back here when I cry sexual harassment and I weaponize real women's pain and real women's trauma in this world, and I lie and I make false accusations. You have my back and I'll make you a lot of money. I bet. The love bombing and the manipulation from Blake Lively needs to be studied. Okay, that's it from me today. I will be back with more. Okay, we are just getting started. I hope you're all having a good day. Stranger Things, I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I'm about to watch the last 2 episodes tonight, baby. But yeah, I hope you're having a great day. Drop all your comments what you think about this. I mean, this just kind of clears up like a little, like we're getting more and more and more pieces to the puzzle, and more is to come, baby. Okay, more is to come. I love you so much. I will talk to you soon. Bye.